Hello my friends and welcome, my name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine, but as you can see on your screens, also partially from Russia. Yep, the Russian oil refinery in Tatarstan caught fire today. Somehow, locals report about numerous of the kabooms. The facility name is Taneko. So Ukraine hits not just the oil storages but very sensitive infrastructure used to make diesel fuel, aviation fuel and benzene. And stuff like that happens almost every night in Russia, and Tatarstan, well, it's not near to Ukraine, it's far away. Nevertheless, Ukraine has all of the tools even to reach those remote areas. So here it's burning and lots of people are filming here. It's like a new attraction for Russians to film the result of the drone attacks. Oh, finally, North Koreans who somehow stayed alive and were imprisoned by Ukrainian soldiers, delivered already to Kiev, by the way. So this guy and this guy, they've received some of the wounds and decided to stop resisting and surrender. And how do we know that those are North Koreans? Well, they speak Korean language. It is not yet published but reported by Ukrainian side. And I just hope that in the nearby future there will be some of the big media corporations like BBC, CNN, Fox News, whatever, for them to go to Ukrainian prison and interview those North Korean guys. We need everyone to understand that the third party is taking the part in this war. But you know, Russians want to show that those are North Koreans, and they continue to say that those are from Republic of Tiva, Russian Federation, but actually no. They've just received the documents that they're from Tiva, but they're from Korea. And if those Koreans had, for example, North Korean documents and everything, Russians would say that it's some sort of the fake done by Ukraine. Russia never recognizes its fuck-ups, and what happened recently, remember Azerbaijani airplane, they still haven't recognized that they've shot down that airplane, even though the evidence was provided that it was shot down. So yeah, obviously 100% those are from Tiva. Yeah. And those guys are kept in this kind of the cell. I would say, okay, it's the good conditions compared to being in a trench in the front line under the drone fire. I think they have nothing to complain about. They have water, they have food, they have everything. And the most important in their case is the medical treatment. In Ukraine, it's much better than in Russia. Well, Ukraine before tried to capture some of the North Korean soldiers. There was the case with wounded North Korean, but he kaputted on the way to hospital. I don't remember if I showed you it already or not, but Ukrainian soldiers are sending those kind of the papers to North Korean side, to the places of the Kursk Oblast where the North Koreans are based, by the way, together with Russians. North Korean, that's your destiny if you wouldn't surrender. And you know, Zelensky even published the photos of those North Koreans saying that our soldiers have captured North Korean military personnel in Kursk region. Two soldiers, though wounded, survived and were transported to Kiev, so we know where they are. And they already communicated with security service of Ukraine, and later on I just hope there will be big interview, there should be a translator. And Zelensky says that he has instructed to grant journalist access to these prisoners, so awesome. Well, I expect this interview to be happening just right now, you know, it will be released I think tomorrow. And you know, Russian propaganda already confirmed that Ukraine imprisoned North Koreans. I've translated this screenshot in Google. The Ukrainian armed forces broke into the Russian territory, fighting in the Kursk region, found, if true, kidnapped Koreans there, and now they're shouting DPRK is fighting Ukraine. Burns, what is Ukraine doing in Kursk Oblast and why is it stealing people? Saying the representative of the Russian propaganda, Russian Federation, which started this full-scale war against Ukraine, which kidnapped thousands of Ukrainian children, and not only. So Ukraine has absolute freaking right to go even to Moscow and kidnap Putin. Well, Skabeva is just pathetic. About the Kursk region and operation itself, there was the article published by the Washington Post. They say that definitely Ukraine is now more or less forced to fight on the Russian territory because Russia concentrated roughly 60,000 soldiers together with North Koreans in the Kursk region. So if Ukraine withdraws its forces to Sumy Oblast, there is the great chance that Russia would follow Ukrainian army and start the occupation of Sumy region. So actually for Ukraine it's more profitable to fight on the Russian territory right now because Russia sent actually the great amount of their forces somewhere in this region of Kursk. But still they move kind of slow relative to their offensive in the eastern side of Ukraine. Here Ukraine tried to counterattack. It happened like maybe 3 days ago, like this, just a little, but Russia took initiative and they start to push Ukraine from the west. So my prediction that soon Ukraine will withdraw the forces from this northern side and will concentrate all of the efforts on Sudzha. But you know, Russians, they still do expect some major Ukrainian counteroffensive or offensive somewhere on their territory, maybe in Belgrade, in Kursk region. But from Ukrainian side, everything is very, very calm.
Кто делает вот эти свечи, блядь? Туда диверсии, сука, они взрывают.
We call those strange candles. Usually they're made by ordinary people behind the front lines, volunteers, and they've been delivered to armies, like for example to Ukrainian army or in this case Russian army. Those kind of the candles are used to get some of the heating in the range and also sometimes even cook a meal.
Мне лицо чуть-чуть обгорело, нахуй. Сейчас еще раз взорвалась, нахуй, сука. Вот эти свечи, блядь. Там как будто туда петарды засовывают, блядь. Вот.
Someone put fireworks inside or powder, and this guy is crazy because those candles just explode at some time. Oh guys, it's crazy. So there are some of the volunteers, he says also in this video, some of the volunteer group which works with them, and they deliver those candles which are made by ordinary Russians. Well, probably ordinary Russians do not support their army after all. Okay, sorry for laughing. Just sometimes then you watch those kind of the videos with comments like that. It's crazy. Russians are coming back from the shop. You can see their vehicles, bukhanka, van, some sort of the tractor, wreckage, all along the road. That's the usual stuff for Russians. So they take the territory, but at the same time they suffer significant losses. Absolutely crazy. And one more, you can see their vehicle, and yeah, all-terrain vehicle, everything of that is just kaboom. The electronic warfare doesn't help. And they continue to use unarmored vehicles, so absolutely no armor to protect the crew, personnel, meh, they don't care. And this is the American MRAP of Ukrainian army, Max Pro, and this is the screenshot of it. Crazy, it was hit by the drone. Well, here guys, unfortunately I cannot show you the full video because of the YouTube policy, but we can scroll a little and probably you'll see.
Ёб твою мать, блядь.
Yeah, Ukrainian soldier uses bad words, but in this case he stayed alive and moreover vehicle continued movement. In this case the glass wasn't hit directly but the front part of the vehicle, the hood, and the engine is running. And this is the Russian FPV drone with the RPG shell, so kind of powerful, and Max Pro works outstanding. Guys, from what I'm reviewing on the front lines, Max Pro and Bradley's, they're just outstanding vehicles. They are very robust, they have huge armor protection. So our American friends really put extra efforts to protect people on board. I think they learned it after many of the conflicts, like for example in Afghanistan or Iraq. Those vehicles are definitely bulletproof and in this case RPG proof. My friends, by the way, if you want to support the job that I do here on YouTube, you may also follow me on Patreon. The link for my Patreon page I'll put right in the video description below, so thank you so much for supporting my motivation. President Biden man today spoke with Zelensky, and he's still sure that Ukraine is on a path to victory. He has no doubts that Ukraine will win in this war. Well, actually guys, I also have no doubts, but Ukraine will not, let's say, win in military way. It will just hold on and wait until Russian collapse. But it's just my own opinion. Joe Biden said that it's because Russia suffers significant losses, like more than 600,000 soldiers Russia lost already, he said, but honestly, Russia doesn't care, and Putin personally. If Putin decides to continue, he will continue. Russia could be reformed and you can get rid of the Russian regime by destroying the Russian economy, and that's, by the way, what Biden did recently. Yesterday, applying huge sanctions on the Russian oil sector. And you know, guys, what happened? Even Chinese major ports ban entry to Moscow's shadow fleet tankers. Exactly what I said to you yesterday. Even China is following the sanctions if they're applied properly. So yep, the Russian economy will suffer even more. They're already in stagflation state. And this year will be critical for them. Also, from the military perspective, it will show if they're able definitely to produce weaponry massively. But without the shadow fleet, it's a big question.
Chodí po té Európe, len žobre a vydiera, ostatných pýta peniaze.
Well, I don't know Slovakian, but I know two of the Slav languages, that's why I understand him. And Fico, well, he's really disappointed about Zelensky and how he cut the gas supplies to Slovakia and is going to cut oil supply too. It was announced already by Ukrainian government, and Fico, well, he's just mad because he doesn't have any sort of the levers to counteract to Zelensky's actions, or the actions, it's better to say, of Ukrainian government. Well, Slovakia already said that they want to cut electrical supplies to Ukraine, which are needed for emergency purposes, but instead Poland said that they are able to replace the demands for electrical supplies if needed. And this guy is 100% he's the Russian asset. He's just Russian puppet government established in Slovakia. Sadly, people voted for him. Slovakia, the country which helped Ukraine one of the most since the beginning of the full-scale war, even supplied fighter jets, but now they have Fico. Fico. Alright guys, and now to the military map update. There will be not so good news, but anyways, my duty here is to explain you everything what is happening. Like again, let's start from the Kursk region. Unfortunately, some of the soldiers from Ukrainian side were trapped in one of the small places somewhere in the western side and were captured by Russians. So luckily they are alive, but they were imprisoned. We know it first of all from the Russian channels which shared this evidence, and definitely this guy is Ukrainian. How do I know it? Well, before he filmed this kind of the video from the Kursk region, then Ukrainian army just entered it. They went to the local market Petorechka to get some of the provision, and this video with Matvienko Ivan, yes, he said on the video his surname and name, went viral. You know guys, those videos are good, they're encouraging, but for this particular soldier it was not a good step to put it online. Unfortunately, he'd been captured, and I've took it from the Russian channel, so they already know this guy, they shared those videos, so I'm not telling extra information. This is the Russian Telegram channel, so they share all of the videos, they say about it themselves, so they know it already. Unfortunately, guys, the similar situation happened in Kurakhova direction, where Russians imprisoned many of the Ukrainian soldiers, and they also publish it for their propaganda purposes. The problem here for Ukrainian army that our guys didn't have the order to withdraw at the proper time, so Russians just captured them. And in this abandoned situation, obviously it's better to surrender to save lives of the military personnel, of the soldiers. Hopefully they will be exchanged. And also we may understand that probably those soldiers are in lack of motivation because they were forcibly mobilized mostly and been sent to fight on the front lines after very short training. As for the front lines update, it was yesterday, it is today. You may see the Russian army movement here, and also they went to Yantarna. We have actually the confirmation that Russians took this village already, so they crossed the river. And they also went up front in Zorya, so here you can see this gray area, there are no settlements, just open fields, free road actually for the Russian army because Ukraine is in lack of that defense, trenches and so on. So Russians are getting closer to the border of the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast already. They're 7 kilometers away from it over here. Plus, according to my information, the Russians occupied Shevchenko fully. Probably tomorrow we're gonna see the update also from the deep state military map source. Shevchenko was the last village if they want to take this road and go to Pokrovsk. And by the way, yeah, deep state map also has this update, so Russia moves in every point of Pokrovsk direction, so they also move here to the crossroad every day, like it was yesterday and it is today. Unfortunately, in the very near future, they're gonna cut this road. Plus, in Toretsk, they also advanced forward, so yesterday, today. So how Ukraine is going to stabilize front lines, I don't know, just my opinion that reforms are needed in Ukrainian army. And without reforms, no matter how many people are there in Ukrainian army, Ukraine will not be able to take initiative. So yeah, something should be done and we are screaming about it. We, I mean soldiers, volunteers, some of the commanders of the lower rank, we constantly say about it. But in general, we should understand, my friends, that the situation for Ukraine is not a catastrophic one compared to what it was at the beginning of 2022. No, it's really far away from that tragic event. Yeah, Russia takes Ukrainian territories, but their losses are just astonishing. And Russia definitely cannot continue those kind of the movements for extended period of time. Otherwise, they should announce a new massive mobilization. But Putin doesn't want that. He is scared because people might get angry. Russia demands from Ukraine Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk Oblast and so on. Ukraine will never give Russia those territories as the present. No, and Russia in that case would like to have more and more. So the only option for Ukraine, the only remaining option is to hold on and defend its territory. That's what is left. But to defend it more effectively, obviously reforms again are needed in the Ukrainian army especially. The lives of Ukrainian soldiers should be saved and they should not be imprisoned by Russians, and it is the responsibility of Ukrainian army command. Yeah, you may say war is war, but you know guys, even for me, for a YouTuber who just reviews the maps, you know, for me it was understandable a long time ago that Ukraine should have withdraw from that side, from this area, from that area, and the high generals, they think they know more, but in fact they don't have information, like, or they're just incompetent to command and manage army. Yeah, kind of the sad ending, but anyways guys, I believe that Ukraine will win in this war. And there will be no Russia as we know it. It will be reformed. So my friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are and have a great time.